Vertex Rage actually
aged well.
says something really, something that resonates with me here. I've something similar either with single player games, like going back to a save from a couple of months ago. Most of the time results in me just restarting the game. I had exactly the same experience with The
Yeah.
Last of Us. So I got The Last of Us
I,
on PS4, and I started going through. What are you pointing at?
my chat's vanished. I can't post it.
Uh oh, I can't help you with that.
It
Try
was
turning it off
there,
and on again.
and then
But yeah, in the Last of Us, I got to the point where when I reloaded it, it wasn't even a couple of months. It was like 3 weeks or something crazy like that. But when I reloaded it, I couldn't remember the controls. I'd lost that dexterity, and obviously games like that get more and more difficult and challenging the further you go through them. So not only did I not really have the right controls, I also didn't. You know, I was getting defeated by these enemies that were too tough for me.
I had that experience with Crusader Kings 3. I was really enjoying it and like building this little story and like an
Yeah.
empire that rose and fall and stopped playing it for a few weeks. Came back, couldn't remember any of it. Couldn't remember the people, couldn't remember what I was doing, couldn't remember, where the dangers were, just like that I'm done.
I almo
Start over. Um
it's
is my
especially
stuff
true.
showing up in chat?
Yes,
Because
I can see it.
I'm not you, so I know you can see it. Can everyone else see the link I posted?
I've often thought, okay, so I'll read out Vertex Rage. Yeah, I wonder if there's anything on the game design front that could help with that. One of the things that I do personally, especially I did it a lot with Oblivion and a lot with Skyrim, where you go off and you're doing stuff, and maybe you've got multiple quests. So a decent questing system can help you with what you're doing at the time. That can be really helpful. But if you're doing something that doesn't have that, the ability to maybe create your own checklist within the game, almost like a notes system, might help.
Yeah, a note system would be great.
I
I
often
would actually go the other way.
use
I would say I don't know that it is possible because if you're making something where the whole point is being so sucked into this world and it's huge, there's so much to do. Crusader Kings or Ark or whatever it might be. Civilization is a great example. If you don't play Civ for a few days and you come back to your map, it's like I have no investment in this anymore.
yeah,
Um, I think part of that is drawing you in. And if you're not drawn in for long enough and come back to it, you kind of have to start afresh. And for some games, that is deeply frustrating. One example of
it can
this
be
is I
hours
didn't
as well.
install Starbound today because you can skip the little bit in the place where it gets blown up, but you can't go to any planets until you've done the first boss fight.
Which is a
I don't
lot.
want to. I want a working ship, please, and I don't currently have a save game that I could just use for it.
Okay, I'm going to go back to both Skyrim and Oblivion, where and you if you played these games, you've probably done this yourself, or in any other game that, yeah, forces you through a tutorial each time, and especially with those games, you kind of picked as you're going, and then at the end it went, "Are you sure?" So you save before that exit point, and then you can start all new games from that save point. And I remember with Oblivion when I accidentally overwrote my save file for the starting game, I was like,
Oh yeah.
no, I've got to go through the blooming
So there
sewers
used to be
again.
a mod for Skyrim. I actually think it's been taken down off Nexus now because Nexus changed something and the author didn't like the new terms and conditions or something. I might be misremembering that.
Is
Um,
that a hosting
where you could,
platform?
yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
host
yeah.
mods. Um, it was live another life or start another life. Basically, instead of waking up in the standard 20-minute sitting on a cart having people talk at you, now you're in prison and like that whole thing that everyone made fun of.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst ways to start a game I've ever seen. Um, all respect to the people who made that
It
game,
was
but that is not a
frustrating.
fun experience.
Yeah.
Instead, you, yeah, it's very impressive the first time, but like I want to play this game more than once. You wake up. Oh, hello, spider. You wake up in this little like cell next to a shrine, and the shrine has a list of starts you could do. Do you want to be a merchant in this town? Do you want to be a prisoner over here? Do you want to be a warrior over here? And you just start the game. And if you want to do the main quest, go over to where the main quest starts and just do that, and there'll be a
And off you.
dragon, and you can follow it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, skip the whole thing. Oh, that was such a good mod.
That's a fantastic mod. It definitely helps the being able to just jump into the game, and helps with its replayability as well.
Mm. So yeah, I think the ability to skipping a tutorial is one thing, but like skipping the first chapter or something, like you've done this, do you want to start from here?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea.
Well, often
Another one
those.
that you said you've been playing.
Sorry, the other thing is those first chapters are really an extended tutorial. Often, it's not just this is how you
Yeah,
play the base game. It's like, and here's a little extra. You know, whether it's got a crafting system or whether you need to you need to learn the
yeah.
game
I mean, if we
loop
go
in a
back to
safe
Starbound,
place.
there is so much in that game that if you get all of it at once, it's just gonna be massively overwhelming. But if it's okay, you can teleport to your ship, and when you die, you'll be on your ship, and you can craft on it, or you can craft down on the ground. But you've only got one planet to worry about. Somewhere deep down here, there are a bunch of these cores that we're going to need you to find. They're going to be in a mine, so look for a mine and then find these cores and
Yeah.
come back, and we'll continue with the adventure. All of that's great. What's not great though is when you get the plot points, someone just talks at you for 5 minutes with a little cutscene that you can't skip,
Ooh.
or as I call it, let's go make a cup of tea.
Well, I think the Final Fantasy games were horrid for that, with unskippable cutscenes. If you were ever a child and you got called through to have dinner and turn the console off or something along those lines, it was like, but I
Make
can't.
sure you're at the cutscene that Cloud has in Final Fantasy VII that lasts half an hour, and all you have to do is walk through the screens and at one point play a piano.
that's that. That's not a game at that point. I mean, it goes back to one of the
Oh,
chats we
Housebreak
had
at
a
the
few.
time was like, but it's so immersive. It's like, no,
It's
no,
a
no,
film.
no.
It's a film. You know,
It's a
there
really
is a.
boring film that I have to move a character across it.
Yeah, I definitely think that is something to
But
watch
you've
out
also
for
been
when you're
playing a
developing a
lot of
game.
Noita.